So, what do you mean by integrity? In your own understanding, ano bang ibig sabihin nito? Ano bang ibig sabihin ng term na integrity? Accordingly, integrity is the adherence to moral and ethical principles, or the soundness of moral character, or honesty. That's according to dictionary.com. Now, knowing the definition of integrity, we can extrapolate that academic integrity refers to honesty, morality, and ethicality in school-related activities and situation. Sa lahat naman kasi ng bagay, merong integrity, di ba? Dapat napapractice natin yung integrity, yung honesty natin. But in this particular subject, we refer integrity as academic integrity. Ito yung honesty, morality, and ethicality in school-related activities at mga sitwasyon sa paaralan. Academic integrity refers to the principles students are expected to follow in the course of their education at the college. Itong mga polisiyang to, nagbibigay ng guidelines para matulungan ang mga estudyante, not only the students but also the faculty, to make responsible moral and ethical decisions na related sa lahat ng aspeto ng kanilang association with the university. Every university ay may sariling palisiya outlining these principles, and most have a very clearly defined official policy. However, the details do vary from school to school. Depende yan sa paaralan. Magkakaiba-iba. May mga pagkakaiba-iba. Although not every school uses the same formal name for this policy, if it has one of these keywords in it, it's probably the same type of policy. Ano ba itong mga keywords na to? So we have keywords as honor, conduct, or integrity. The specific regulation tend to differ, magkakaiba ulit. But there are many commonalities among schools. Meron ba mga pagkakapareha-pareha? In a few minutes, we will be talking about some of this common regulation in more detailed presentation. The consequences for violating the policy also differ from school to school. But again, there are many commonalities here as well. The Honor Code, or the Code of Conduct, is the document that specifically outlines the academic integrity rules and expectation for a particular school. Ang purpose niyan is to communicate both the meaning and the importance of academic integrity sa lahat ng members of the school community, not only the students but also the faculty, the staff, and everyone inside the school campus. Some of these policies are limited to academic rules, while yung iba naman would include stipulations about students' behavior both on and off campus. So magdepende yan sa school. In general, ang mga school na may mga religious or military affiliation, ang nakikita ang may in-depth mostly may in-depth and rigorous non-academic expectation. Para mabigyan kayo ng mas klarong understanding and what constitutes an academic integrity violation in college, i-discuss natin yung some of the most common violations. The definitions na gagamitin natin dito ay galing sa mga paaralan, kaya kailangan din natin maging aware sa specific definition sa college natin, and siyempre we will abide by those, no? Kasi doon naman tayo nag-aaral sa state college, so dapat yung kung ano yung academic integrity violations doon na nakasaad sa ating student manual, we will abide by those. And yun ang ating references. Ito ay example lamang. Keep in mind that a lot of these categories can overlap and maybe either separate or lump together depending on the college policies. Ito kasing presentation na to ay nakuha ko sa internet, tsaka ang mga definitions dito particularly ay galing sa mga paaralan na nasa ibang bansa, just like the Brigham Young University, the East Carolina University, and the UNC Chapel Hill. Then again, you need to check on the college handbook that you have, since doon tayo magbe-base kung ano yung mga academic integrity violations ng ating paaralan. So first is cheating. That's common. So cheating refers to any kind of unauthorized materials, methods, assistance, or advantage. It's most common to think of cheating in the context of the person who is receiving the help, but the person who is giving the help is just as much in a violation as well. Dili lang tong nagdawat sa tabang sa pag-cheat, but also katong naghatag, no? Sa tabang, no? Naghatag sa, for example, naghatag siya answer K sa iyang classmate. Same, nag-violate silang duha sa academic integrity sa saka eskwelahan. It is important to note that cheating doesn't only apply to tests and quizzes. At some schools, cheating even applies to assignments or requirements that are not graded, such as kanang mga survey, homework, nga practice purposes only, nga dili kolektahon sa teacher. Examples of cheating can include copying answers for anything, such as homework, worksheet, lab report, etc. Ito pa, consulting a textbook or your notes during an online quiz. Yan, that's common nowadays because of the online setting, no face-to-face classes natin. Sa mode of classes ngayon na online, ito ginagawa ng mga estudyante natin. It might not be applied to all, but I'm sure karamihan, if not all, ay ginagawa to. Or even sa inlang na classes, no, nagakopya gani, nagapangudigo gani bisag na sa face-to-face o sa pakaya sa online. Now, many students assume that if a professor uses an online platform just like Google Scholars, Google Classroom or Blackboard or whatever, the assessment completed through it must be open book or open notes. So, nag-assume ang estudyante nga, online ba ito karon? Online ba ito ang klase? So, sigurado ni at automatic po ni we can do open notes or we can copy. Dito doon man, no? It is actually true na wala gi klaro nga monitor. Di gi monitor actually. No way to monitor whether a student takes the test with the unauthorized materials nga dili siya i-proctor sa instructor. But kailangan aware ka din. You need to be aware that unless klaro, no, may instruction si instructor na pwede mong gamitin ang reference book mo, okay lang yon, no? But kung wala siyang instruction explicitly about it, then it is assumed that you should not. That you should not copy, that you should not refer to your reference book or materials. So, cheating siya. Sometimes naman may mga students with problems, with simple problems or complex problems, just like yung mga may disabilities, na nagtitake ng exam at different time in the rest of the class, nag-a-advance ng exam kasi may say for example, may travel na kakailanganin with the family, or nauuna yung kanilang section na magtitake ng exam. So, ang tendency is that posible na itong taong to na nagtitake ng advanced test may have completed the test before anyone else. In this case, it would fall under the category of cheating to tell other students anything about the test. Even general information like pila ka items, types of question, multiple choice ba, enumeration ba, identification ba, or unsay coverage sa exam. That's another cheating. Take note of that, guys. I hope you are not guilty about it. Next is plagiarism. Plagiarism is a serious problem in colleges and universities around the country. Vigorous writing requirements from colleges and universities have increased the amount of writing-intensive courses required sa college. Ang resulta, students are required to do a lot of writing. Just like now, no? You are required to do a lot of writing since di naman tayo kasi makapagbigay ng assessment with you in face-to-face. So, kalimitan, you are given assignments which comprises a lot of lengthy writing practices, researches. But many are not clear on exactly what is required in order to avoid plagiarism. In fact, a lot of plagiarism is actually unintentional and stems from poor understanding of what really needs to be attributed instead of intentional malice or misinterpretation. Now, ultimately, may mga schools, maraming schools na hindi makapag-distinguish kung ano yung intentional at unintentional plagiarism. So, critical, importante na dapat nating maunawaan ano ba yung dapat i-cite or ano yung dapat gawin para maiwasan ang plagiarism. So, ano ba yung different types of plagiarism? So, we have first direct plagiarism. Ito yung pagkopya verbatim from a source without citing it. Yung kinokopya mo yung idea ng isang source without even citing it, without even acknowledging the author. That's direct plagiarism. Then we have paraphrase plagiarism. Ito yung paggamit ng same idea restated in different words without acknowledging the source. So ito naman, lahat ng, for example, i-paraphrase mo lang lahat ng sinasabi ng isang author, pero ginamitan mo lang ng ibang words, just like using acronyms and synonyms, no? So that's paraphrase plagiarism. Again, nakalagay dyan, without citing the source, without acknowledging the source. And then we have mosaic plagiarism. So ano ba itong mosaic plagiarism? Ito yung pag-blend together your own words or ideas with someone else's words or ideas without acknowledging the source. So, imo siyang gi-blend ang idea ni Talpulano o imong idea without, again, citing or acknowledging the source. That's mosaic. Don't forget on that, no? We have direct, paraphrase, mosaic, plagiarism. So, what about insufficient acknowledgement? Partial, incomplete, or incomplete attribution. So, nag-acknowledge ka nga kung sino yung author, saan nakuha mo yung idea, pero hindi mo naman sinulat lahat, hindi mo naman sinite lahat. Partial lang. Meron naman tayong tinatawag na self-plagiarism. It is actually posible na i-plagiarize mo yung sarili mo. Paano? Paano ba ito gawin? No? Ito yung isa sa mga hindi naiintindihan na type ng plagiarism sa mga college students. For example, nagsusulat ka ng papel para sa isang klase and later on, same yung assignment na yon in another class. Turning in the same paper the second time. Giving it or submitting it the second time around is technically an academic integrity violation at some schools. Although it can seem nonsensical to students sometimes, the principle behind this policy is generally that it's unfairly awarding double credit. Again, it's unfairly awarding double credit for work and misses the point of the assignment kung may mga estudyante na pwedeng gawin to at can get out of doing the work for the class simply by virtue of having done something similar before. If you ever have an assignment that you think you could recycle a previous paper for, it's extremely important to ask your professor if you're allowed to use anything from that previous paper. Don't forget on that. Depende yan sa professor kung okay lang sa kanya, kung i-recycle mo yung ginagawa mong paper. Actually, ikaw naman gumawa nun. But then again, it violates, no? It violates the academic integrity. Self-plagiarism ang tawag doon. May mga colleges na may in-depth resources for helping you better understand how to avoid plagiarism. These are often available through either the library or the academic integrity office. Take advantage of these resources to ensure that you stay on the right side of this policy. Tsaka ilagay sa isip palagi that although the internet is valuable resource for research and writing, it is far too easy to look something up on the internet, copy and paste, and forget to cite the source forget to cite the source. Meron namang very tempting websites full of sample paper that some students will either use heavily or turn in as their own work. However, yung may mga colleges naman tayo nowadays, they are getting better and better at catching plagiarism through technology. So may mga colleges that require students to submit papers through the service like Turnitin or Safe Assign, which are plagiarism prevention and detection software. Additionally, may mga veterano talaga, may mga veteran teachers or instructors or professor na they can often quite good at, they are actually quite good at spotting when something in the paper seems out of place as compared to the rest of the document, or when paper as a whole seems more advanced than reasonable for a student. Kaya mag-ingat kayo dito sa plagiarism. So itong mga terms na to, cheating, plagiarism, falsification, these are just fancy words for lying. Regardless of the details, ang violation of the honor code at most schools to make anything up and represent it as a truth. Be aware that this doesn't only apply directly to coursework. May mga examples pa tayo dito. For example, signing someone else's name on the attendance sheet in the class. Ito, ginagawa nyo talaga to. Pag wala si classmate, pag wala si barkada, bay, pakisulat lang ko sa akong pangalan dyan sa attendance, mag-attendance sa sir. Diba? Telling a professor that you missed class because you were sick when you weren't. No, actually, dili lang estudyante ang naing-ani nga problema. Pati instructor po. No? Nag-aalibay na hindi makapunta kasi iba yung pakiramdam, but actually, nandun sa isang resort, nag-good time. O, di ba? So, ang daming cases na ganito. And I'm sure that you are, if not all, nakapag-experience na ginawa to. Now, making up a source for information in paper using gagawa-gawa ng source for information sa papel. Wala naman. Hindi naman talaga totoo. Bogus source. Using someone else login password or ID card. Okay. Access card. Ito. Nakalimutan yung ID. So, ang gagawin, pagpasok ng classmate, hangyoon nga mupadool sa gate, tapos sikreto nga itsang ID para siya po pagsulod na si ID. Ha? Itong mga ganitong oring style. Bulok na style na yan. No? And these are types of falsification. These are examples of academic violation of academic integrity. Ano pa? Forgery could also fall into this category, although some schools would list it as an entirely separate category. So that's falsification for you. Other violations we have na pwede natin include sa college academic integrity policy. We have unauthorized collaboration. Ito, common din ito ngayon, online classes, which may be classified under cheating at your school. Sa school natin, talagang cheating yan. No? Paano ba to? Working together on any assignment without permission to do so. Confusing siya. Anyway, but magdepende kasi yan sa professor. Kung sasabihin, just like what I have given to you the last time, no? Collaborate or collaboration is allowed. 2 to 3 students can collaborate this particular research, then okay yun. Kasi explicit naman na sinabi ko na you can do collaboration. Pero yung mga ginagawa yung mga assignment, yung mga ginagawa yung mga work documentations, na wala ka naman akong sinabi that you have to collaborate, then you have to do it on your own. Klaro yan, di kay pre, ikaw buhat sa Crim 103, pre. Ako'y bahala sa LIA 103. Pre, ikaw sa number 1, ako sa number 2. Nice. That's collaboration. Anyway, many schools, department, professors expect and encourage students to work together in the process of learning material for a particular course. However, may mga distinction yan between collaboration for purposes of studying and collaboration on any assignment that will be granted or graded or turned in. Kung mag-study, meron nga tayong group study, di ba? So, in-encourage yan. Okay, you do group study, you do group meetings para makapag-develop kayo ng study habit na ganyan with your peers. But, pag work collaboration, again, it depends upon the students. I mean, it depends upon the instructor. Kung klaro ang instruction that you can collaborate, go. Pero pag wala siyang sinabi that you have to collaborate, then do it alone. In college, the safest course of action is to assume that you must do all your work independently unless otherwise given permission to collaborate with classmates. Klaro ha? Klaro na. College naman ka, college naman ta, pinaka-safe course of action for you is to assume nga ikaw lang yun, ikaw lang at wala nang iba ang gagawa ng lahat ng requirements ng school, ng instructors for you. You do it independently unless otherwise given permission to collaborate kasama ang mga classmate mo. In addition, it generally would not apply to specific types of university-provided resources as tutorial centers, math lab, writing centers. May mga exemption naman. But then again, it is a violation of the honor code, the academic integrity of the school, if mag-collaborate ka sa answers with your classmate. Not unless, again, given explicitly by your instructor. Another is compromising security or integrity. This is another topic that could fall under cheating, falsification, or another area. Example dito, guys, is that telling a friend who is in a different section of the class pero pareho lang yung professors or yung instructor, just like our classes, Crim 103. Ano ba yung lumabas sa exam, pre? Ano ba yung mga pointers na binigay ni sir? Yan, mga ganyang style. Tsaka meron pa, sasabihin mo, huwag ka mag-absent kayo kasi may magbibigay si sir ng pop quiz. Bigay siya ng mga extra score. May mga tip na ganyan. Another example would be giving someone your completed workbook at the end of the semester because they're taking the same class next semester, or handing over your old test to someone about to take that class. That's another. Diba, classmate, tapos ka na sa subject na to? Can you give me your notes? Can you give me your examination papers? Kasi baka si sir naman yung teacher namin yan. At I'm sure i-recycle lang niya yung mga questionnaires or other materials, so wala nang problema. Yung mga ganun. These are violation of academic integrity. No? Don't forget on that. May mga mas serious pa na mga violation, just like stealing a test. Pero rare na yung mga ganun. Another is helping others to violate a policy. Anytime you assist someone else in committing a violation, you are also culpable and can be held responsible. Diba? Failure to report. Tinutulungan mo na nga yung classmate mo na gumawa or mag-commit ng violation, siyempre hindi mo rin i-report. And you can be held responsible for that. At many school students who know about someone else's violation, even if they themselves had nothing to do with it, can be held responsible if they don't report it. Although some students still view this as a tattling or snitching, sip-sip. It reflects the idea that academic integrity is everyone's responsibility. Don't forget on that. Ang academic integrity daw ay responsibilidad ng lahat. And the actions taken by others impact the entire university community. As a result, working together as a community is necessary and desirable in order to hold all its members accountable, maintain high standards, and keep the value of the degree being earned high. Meron pa mga attempting to violate a policy. Dapat alam nyo na may mga schools na kahit na hindi mo talaga na kompleto yung violation, it doesn't mean that you are not held responsible. For example, if a professor discovered you texting a classmate during a test asking for an answer, you could be charged with attempting to cheat violation kahit na hindi mo na press yung send, or walang na-send sa'yo na message, or na-send mo man ang message pero walang reply yung classmate mo na nasa labas. In other words, you don't have to succeed in breaking the rule to be sanctioned for it. Take note of that. You can be held liable for it. So, ano ba yung mga posibleng mga sanctions? Depende pa rin yan sa school, no? But, sanction means consequences of punishment. Alam natin naman yan. Depending on the situation and the school's guidelines or process, again, refer to our college handbook for this one. The professor may have the option to keep the matter internal to the class or department, or to refer it to the University Judicial Board department. In some cases naman, a student may receive sanction for both sources, sometimes just one or the other. Itong mga sanctions na to for academic integrity violations vary from college to college. And, of course, based on the violation, ito yung mga other possibilities or some of the possibilities. Pag nahuli ka na naka-violate ka ng academic integrity rules and regulations. Number one, of course, you will fail the test or the assignment given to you kung cheating ka on that particular assignment, or entirely failing the course. Bagsakon ka sa subject, sa klase, sa kurso. Not bagsakon ka o tanggalon ka sa kurso sa imong course, imong BS, but the course here means the subject matter. Completing an educational assignment or program. For example, gagawa ka ng report, tapos i-present mo yan sa grupo. Depending on the context of the violation, you could potentially be barred from certain privileges. For example, kung nag-falsify ka records as part sa leadership position within the student organization, para may mo ang official sa student organization, tapos nag-falsify ka sa mong record, you might be removed from that leadership position or kicked out of the organization. And then we have community service. This is common nowadays. This is more likely to happen for the conduct violation than an academic one, but it's a possibility actually. Then counseling, again, more likely for conduct the academic integrity, but still possible. Ito nangyayari to for drug alcohol violations on campus. Students may be required to attend specific counseling for a required number of sessions or hours. Finally, pag severe na, tsaka malala, tsaka repeated na yung violation, the school may impose sanctions on probation. Now, any more violations will result in steeper penalties. Suspension, or have to sit out a semester or more, or expulsion talaga. Hindi ka na makabalik. So, ito yung mga possible sanction depending on the school. Again, refer to our student handbook for this. So, why is it that academic integrity is important? Now, this is your assignment for this particular session. I want you to make a not less than 50 words of essay or piece about the importance of academic integrity. Now, please try, no? Huwag nyo lang i-try. Talagang you do it in your own words. Kaya nga sinasabi ko palagi sa inyo, do it in your own words. Actually, you can borrow terms, no? Just like academic integrity, just like plagiarism. Hindi mo naman pwedeng gamitan yan ng own words, eh. Wala namang own words yan. Original naman talaga yan. But then again, the composition, the paraphrasing, the how you construct your sentences should be on your own. So, this is your assignment. Again, I want you to make not less than 50 words piece of essay or insight about the importance of academic integrity and what should you do as a student, especially you as a BS Criminology student, to practice academic integrity inside the campus. So ano bang pwede mong gawin? This is another part of training for you to be able to become ethical when you become professional, di ba? Nakakompress ito lahat ng ating pinag-usapan about the 10 Commandments ng ating CGA department, ang ating Article of Faith, nandiyan na lahat yan. You can use them actually, but then again, I want you to paraphrase, I want you to construct your words in a manner that I can say na ikaw talaga gumawa niyan. Message, sir, ano bang gagawin namin, sir? Alam ko anong gagawin kasi nakalagay dito sa instruction mo sa Google Classroom kung anong gagawin namin, sir. Ayan. Violation of academic integrity yan. Hindi nyo na pinapanood ang mga videos natin. Siyempre, naintindihan ko naman. I understand, no? Na medyo nagsawa na rin kayo sa boses ko. At the same time, boring talaga pag ganitong style, no? But, again, wala kayong choice. You need to review, you need to view, you need to study. Nandyan na lahat ng pinag-uusapan natin sa subject. So, kaya nga, sinasabi ko sa inyo, you can review anytime you want. Kaya nga, yan ang gamit natin, di ba? We do recording so that you can review it anytime you want, anytime of the day if you want. Tsaka hindi naman kailangan na, just like this one, this is a 38 minutes and counting presentation, no? 12 slides lang to, pero 38 minutes running na. Di mo naman kailangan ubusin lahat ng 38 minutes para panoorin tong video na to eh. Di ba? For example, in a day, pwede kang makinig sa akin 5 minutes, tapos bukas naman 5 minutes. You can do that. You have all the time. You are given all the time. Pero yung iba sa inyo, if not all, kung ano yung pinapagawa ko, yun ang gagawin. Hindi nyo na na-appreciate yung effort ng instructor ninyo sa paggawa ng presentation. Tapos, pabanjing-banjing lang kayo dyan. People, students, alam ko naman yung pinagdaanan nyo. Pinagdaanan ko rin yan. So, please be responsible enough. Be responsible enough to do your part in this struggle that we have right now. Okay? So, I think that will be all for this particular week. This is very important. Lahat ng subjects ay binigyan ko ng presentation na to. And ito, I just would like to emphasize na iba na yung high school tsaka college, no? Especially if we talk about academic integrity. In general, college and universities take academic integrity very seriously. At many schools, students can even be expelled for certain severe violation or for repeated, less severe violations. As you can see from the violations and sanctions we discussed, this is not something that colleges take lightly. This raises the question, why it is such a big deal? Yan yung assignment nyo. No? Brainstorm and discuss the reasons why academic integrity is so important in the university setting, especially sa kurso ninyo